A new analysis every week. Our experts analyze the teams of the moment. Welcome to TGC Lab.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Game Changer. Welcome to our YouTube channel. Here we are one day more to talk about football, to talk this week about Stuttgart. We are going to Bundesliga, we are going to Germany to talk about one team, one club that they have been doing great during last seasons in Germany, always there in the top, fighting with clubs like Leipzig, Borussia Dortmund, at that level, Eintracht Frankfurt at that level. Now they are in Europa League, also competing there and doing quite good. And yeah, in Bundesliga also we will see later they are also in the top four. And yeah, Sebastian Hoeneß, their coach, is a coach that I have been following during last seasons. He has been doing a great job with Stuttgart, and yeah, they have also very interesting players. They have actually sold some of their best players, like Enzo Milot, who moved to Al Ahly, a player that I like a lot, but now he's not anymore there. And obviously Voltemade, that we all know, he moved to Newcastle for a big amount of money, but they still keep Angelo Stiller, who we can see in the design in the picture. Who is a player that this kind of deep lying midfielder that many clubs want in Europe. He has been connected to Real Madrid, but at the moment he's still in Stuttgart. And yeah, we will talk about their players also later. But first, I want to welcome Tommy, and also I want to welcome the Celtic fans that might be coming back to our YouTube channel after we spoke about Wilfred Nancy and his adventure in Celtic Glasgow as a coach, and we analyzed some of the Celtic games under him. But now, actually, Stuttgart will play in Europa League against Celtic Glasgow. That's what we say, that many of the Celtic fans, they might be coming back to our YouTube channel to know a bit about how Stuttgart plays for the game they are going to play soon. So yeah, welcome to our YouTube channel. Tommy, it's a pleasure to have you one day more here.
Thanks. Excited to talk about Stuttgart. And hopefully, we bring some better luck to the Celtic fans, and we bring better luck to the Stuttgart fans than we brought to the Celtic fans the first to go around. So hopefully we can bring more joy here.
Yeah, hopefully it has happened quite a lot that some teams that we analyze after we analyze them, they start losing games. But yeah, that's football. That's life. Also, some coaches that we highlight after a few weeks, they are out. This is modern football also, and that's life. But yeah, we will continue obviously doing this kind of analysis. And yeah, as I say, Stuttgart is a very interesting team to talk about their tactics. And yeah, football is evolving, and we want you to be part of this evolution. We have created a community for people who are passionate about the game and want to reflect on it. Inside the Game Changer, on our platform, you will find clips on collective and individual trends, set-piece actions from teams around the world, matches in tactical camera, monthly talks with professionals, and a space for discussion and reflection about the game among members. Get access to exclusive discounts on our educational courses and additional content. Join the Game Changer using the discount code TGCLab. You will find the link in the description of this video. Let's start with the lineup, with their offensive intentions, and trying to already talk a bit and dive deep into their players. So yeah, sorry also for the pronunciation. We are heading to Germany. As you might know, I'm Spanish, so yeah, I cannot pronounce German well probably, so we might make spelling mistakes or pronunciation mistakes. So yeah, apologize for this, but yeah, let's start with the lineup. In goal, Nubel. The two fullbacks, that actually Hendricks has been playing a lot as a center back. Hendricks from the Netherlands as a left back. Bagnoman as a right back. Right, I have seen him playing as a right wing back, even as a right winger. So he's a player he can do all the in wide zones. He can play lower or higher. Then we can see the two center backs, Chabot and Gels. Gels actually a very young player. I think he's only 19 years old. A very interesting prospect that he has been playing quite much already this season. The two midfielders, Angelo Stiller, we already spoke about him. Still, I think he's quite young, 24 years old, and for how well he's playing and how calm, how good is in the ball, I think he's still a very interesting player that we might see soon in a bigger club in Europe. Obviously, Stuttgart is already one of the biggest clubs in Germany, but as we say, he has been connected to teams like Real Madrid. Then Karazor, the other midfielder. These two midfielders, they have been playing quite much. They are the two main midfielders. But Chem Andres, also from Real Madrid, I think he's on loan, if I'm not wrong, from Real Madrid. Has been playing also quite much. Then the two wingers, Mittelstadt, that also Mittelstadt is a left fullback actually, but he has been playing as a left winger quite often. Mittelstadt, that he was also in the with Germany, and he has been playing more as a left back also with Germany, but this season he has been playing as a left winger. In the right, Leveling, who is having a great season. We will talk about him later. Great 1v1, also providing assists this season. Narte, the Danish player, a bit more between the lines, with quite of a free role moving around. And then Dennis Undav, who is one of the top scorers in Bundesliga, that he likes to drop deep quite much, and he's quite dangerous when he drops deep and links up play. And he's also actually a good goal scorer. He's scoring a lot of goals. He's a bit different profile of player, obviously, quite different than Voltemade, but yeah, he's also a very interesting profile. And yeah, I would like to ask you, Tommy, any players that you want to highlight, and also other players that they have been participating quite much, but not maybe to mention them in the best starting 11.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that Stuttgart does quite well, is there's maybe 15, 16, 17 guys that all play big roles within the team. So guys like El Kanous, who we talked about for Morocco, he kind of plays one of those maybe three advanced positions between the lines or a bit wider. And then you also have Furic, who typically plays on the left side, maybe a bit more inside. And then you said Chema Andres, Demirovic. And then they have a fullback, Asignon, who played in some of the games that I watched on the right side instead of Wagnermann. So they have also, and Bunani as well, who's more of a winger attacker. So they've got a lot of young, exciting players. Also outside of this 11 that we've put up here, that I think deserve to be highlighted as well, and maybe why they've been so successful in both Bundesliga and also Europa League. But then specifically from this group of 11, there's probably 3 or 4 people that I really enjoy. The first one, I don't think I've said this before on this, Nubel. I think he's a fantastic goalie. Great passing, great calmness. He sees the whole field. I think one pass that we see out of him that I haven't really seen from other goalies that are tasked with being basically a third center back is, we'll discuss, but he's got a great low entry ball into the top line instead of these clipped balls. That really plays to the front line's advantage. And he's also very accurate with the long balls, very good at understanding the timing of the free man. So he was a fun goalie to watch as well. One of my personal favorite players is Stiller. I think he's probably one of the closest players that Germany has had to maybe Toni Kroos, and maybe that's why Real Madrid is looking at him. He's a very good passer, very calm, and gives them a nice platform. And one thing because we've watched them, I think, a couple times over the past 2 years, and as modern football has become more man-to-man, he's still found a way to orchestrate attacks and be influential, versus maybe when he was playing against two years ago more of a zonal defensive blocks, and I think he's quite good. And so that midfield pairing is really fun. And then the two players up top that I've really enjoyed are Llewellyn, who I think can play on both wings. He's a very dynamic runner off the ball. He's very direct when he has it, whether it's 1v1 on the left side for crosses or cutting inside on his right to finish. He's assisted and crossed from those angles quite a lot. I think he's a very exciting young player to watch. And then I think Undav as well. I don't think, we talked about maybe not comparing him to Voltamata, but I think he does a great job. Maybe not as well as Kane, but playing in between those lines as a link forward, switching the point of attack. Maybe his range of pass isn't fully like Harry Kane's or Wayne Rooney's when they would drop into midfield. But I think he picks up really good positions that allow these wingers, especially Llewellyn, to be direct and vertical to goal as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and actually, if we talk a bit about their offensive intentions, we can see here that they alternate quite much between having the fullbacks also in the half spaces and leaving the wide zones for the wingers to receive there. There's one player also that I wanted to mention, that is Fugrich, that he has been playing quite much, especially as a left winger. No, when Mittelstadt plays more as a left back, or Hendricks, he has been playing as a center back, and Fugrich is a player that I like a lot. He's more like a more of a winger than Mittelstadt. He can also play inside, more as an inside winger, but he's a player that likes to cut inside and look for crosses. We'll talk about crossing later. But yeah, we can see here Angelo Stiller more as a deep lying midfielder, Karasor more as a number 8, let's say like this. And then, as you say, Llewellyn as a very direct player who has good 1v1 and who is also providing a lot of assists and goals. And also, I wanted to talk also about Jeremy Arevalo, that we also talk about him. You remember in the Racing de Santander video that we have it in our YouTube channel. Actually, there are many young players right now doing well in Racing. And Jeremy Arevalo was one of those young players that came from Racing, and that Stuttgart just bought him. So yeah, Demirovic also has been participating quite much as a striker, and yeah, I wanted to highlight also, as I said, Finn Jeltz, the centre back, only 19 years old. Germany might have there an interesting centre back for the future. And yeah, let's start diving into Stuttgart, into some stats to put in context how the season of Stuttgart have been so far. And yeah, we can see here already 20 matches, 12 games won, 3 draw, 5 lost, 39 points, only behind Bayern München and Borussia Dortmund and Hoffenheim. Actually, Hoffenheim is a team that we have been discussing that at some point we should talk about them. They are doing great. They are one of the most high pressing teams in Europe and in Bundesliga. And yeah, hopefully in next weeks we might have an analysis of Hoffenheim. But yeah, going back to Stuttgart, we can see 37 goals scored and 26 conceded goals, being Dennis Undav the top goal scorer in the team. And yeah, they are now in a better position than Leipzig and Bayer Leverkusen, but yeah, they have been during last season very consistent in staying in this kind of position, usually between this 3rd, 4th place and 7th, 8th. They have been always there, and as we say, this season they are also playing Europa League. And yeah, if we look into ball possession, they are quite dominant team. We can see here, obviously, not at the level of Bayern München, but at a similar level of Bayer Leverkusen, and a bit more ball possession that teams that like Leipzig and Borussia Dortmund, that they can be maybe a bit more transitional teams. But Stuttgart, we will see later, they are also good in transition. We have a few clips of goals that they score in transition, and also I think the way they defend, very man-oriented, so it helps them to be more dominant in possession. And obviously, we talk about Angelo Stiller, and they are also one of the best teams in Bundesliga in terms of building from the back, in terms of playing third man, and this. We will see the clips later. But yeah, this explains that they are quite dominant in possession. about shots, so they are the second team that produce more shots in the league, that can create more shots in the league. As we can see here, quite many with the head. This we can connect it with the next stat that we will see. They are one of the teams that crosses the most in Bundesliga, so that explains why they have quite many head shots inside the box, and they are one of the teams with more shots from outside the penalty area, which is also quite interesting, because if I see here in this list, they are the team with more shots in Bundesliga outside the penalty area. So yeah, we're talking about the team that produce a lot of chances, a very offensive team, not at the level, again, at the same level than Bayern München, but at better level than teams like Leverkusen or Dortmund or even Hoffenheim or Eintracht Frankfurt, that they are in a bit more similar level and similar budget too, let's say like this. So if we talk about crosses, this was the most interesting probably stat from them. They are the team with more crosses in Bundesliga, 351 crosses. And it's surprising the amount of crosses they do, but if we compare the right flank to the left flank, it's even more interesting. So they are the team with most crosses by far from the left flank. No, if we compare it to the right flank, it's almost 100 more crosses. No, for just 20 games, it's a big difference, and we'll explain why a bit later with the clips, Tommy. But yeah, does this stat surprise you, or you think it's connected in the way the profile of players they have? It's connected to Mittelstadt, who is a left back, left winger who likes to cross a lot, to Hurrich, who is also a player who likes to cut inside and cross. We were talking before about also about Bagnoman, a player that likes to attack the box, is a very physical profile, so can help to attack the far post. So why you think they are one of the teams that cross the most in from the left flank?
I also like connecting this one to the shots from outside the penalty area. So one could make the argument with most shots outside the penalty area and the most crosses, especially when you compare them to teams that they're competing with for this record. It's a team in 16th, a team in 17th. Reminder, there's only 18 teams in the Bundesliga. And then Augsburg, who I think has done really well for where they've been the past couple seasons. You can make the argument that this is maybe inefficient as well, that they're shooting from poorer positions, they're crossing from poorer positions. But on the flip side, how we discussed, especially on their left side, how they've got maybe more wide midfielders or fullback profiles than wingers that are looking to get in behind. And then to your point about Wagnerman, Llewellyn, Undav, and even Karazor arriving late, those are players with good height that are able to attack a ball that's maybe an in-swinger into the box, or someone who's from a deeper position looking to put in an outswinger for those players to arrive into. And I think even though they've crossed a lot of their crosses are ending up in the 6-yard box. So then, like, as you compare to Bayern Munich, they're second with the most crosses to the 6-yard box, along with Dortmund, two teams that are higher at the table. So even though their pure volume of crosses is high, they're also putting crosses into really good areas as well, and they're actually doing it at a pretty accurate rate as well. So you could, on one side, you could probably make the argument it's inefficient given where they're shooting, where they're crossing from, but also given the profiles they have, it's what fits best for their players, and those are their strengths. So I think that's a balancing act that coaches and players have to find, is how can we be just overall efficient, but also using our strengths as players. And I think it's pretty clear that we'll see a couple clips on it, but they're very efficient at crossing from the left-hand side and have the right players in the box to be successful with those.
Mm-hmm. For me, one of the main reasons, and I like a lot the relationship between Mittelstadt and Führich. I think when we analyze them I think 1.5 years ago or something like this. I think that relationship between both Mittelstadt as a left fullback and Friedrich as a left winger, they were good connecting between them, playing like 1-2s, wall passes, and also alternating between one of them playing wide and the other one playing in the half space. So they were with these runs from Mittelstadt in the half spaces and Friedrich cutting in to cross, as you said, in swing cross to the far post, or Mittelstadt arriving late from behind, getting this ball into the half space and crossing first touch. So I think this kind of these connections between these two, I like it a lot, and I think they're still there. Obviously now they are coming new players in. We can see Leveling at times playing in the left. We can see Hendricks, as we spoke, playing as a left fullback, and Mittelstadt left winger. But this relation, Mittelstadt-Friedrich, is one of my favorites. And now let's continue with a bit of stats. Let's talk a bit about their pressing. If we talk about the PPDA, passes permitted per defensive action, so talks a bit about the high press intensity. So we can see here that Hoffenheim is the first one. As we say, very interesting team they are also third in the table to analyze probably soon. Then we can see Bayern München with 9.8 and Stuttgart there with 10. So, and if we see the fifth one, Wolfsburg, it's already quite higher compared to Stuttgart. So we can see in terms of pressing, they are very man-oriented. They follow their direct. All the players follow their direct opponent, not only in high press. We'll see later, also in mid-block press. And yeah, they are. One of the reasons they are quite dominant also in possession is because they kind of recover the ball quite fast. They're high intensity pressing team, also not only at home, also in away games. I watched this game against Leverkusen where they won, I think, 1-4. That they also score from many high pressing situations and that they converted into fast transition. And yeah, if we talk now a bit about the players, we can see, as we spoke, Dennis Undav having a great season, only behind Harry Kane, which it's impossible. He has the double goals than Dennis Undav. I don't think Dennis Undav will get there. But yeah, compared to other players like Michael Olise, Luis Diaz, who are also great goal scorers, even they are playing as wingers in Bayern München, and also in front of Tabakovic from Borussia Mönchengladbach. So yeah, Dennis Undav having a great season. I think also has two assists, but yeah, mainly scoring many goals. And in terms of assists, we can see again Michael Olise next level this season in terms of assists, but then we can see Leveling with 6 assists in the top of Bundesliga, which it's interesting because at the same time we can see Leveling between one of the best players in the league in terms of 1v1 and dribbling. We can see here in the right, Olise 146, but Leveling already 124 attempts in terms of 1v1. So he's one of these players that tries a lot to 1v1 situations, to dribble his marker, and yeah, I think he's great in terms of assists. He's great on 1v1 in terms of these off the ball movements, and yeah, connected about what we were saying about the crosses in the left side. We can see here Mittelstadt, as we say, left fullback, left winger, one of the players that cross the most in Bundesliga, with players like Raum from Leipzig, also great with great ability to cross. Players also like Kofal, we know him from the Premier League. But yeah, what are your thoughts, Tommy, especially in terms of, for example, of Leveling, what kind of player is, in terms of PPDA, and also in terms of what we spoke about Mittelstadt being one of the players with most crosses in Bundesliga?
Yeah, I think the PPDA is directly linked to some of their pressing tendencies, which we'll talk about. And then I think this between the two players crossing and 1v1 dribbling is really interesting based on the other players also at the top of these ranks. So we talked about Mittelstadt being this hybrid fullback, winger, maybe just a wide midfielder, and he's in association with a lot of other attacking fullbacks. that like to cross the ball a lot. And so you can kind of see his tendencies and Stuttgart's tendencies on the left. But then Llewellyn being very direct, very tricky, dynamic in 1v1 situations, and who he's compared to as well. So I think they've got this interesting balance or asymmetrical shape between their left and right side. Maybe that's also why Hendricks can play as a center back, because it shifts almost more into a three-man back line as well.
So let's start to watch some of the clips. Many of them in tactical cam. Those are games that happened during last couple of months from Stuttgart. So let's start watching a bit their ideas. We will start with talking about moments with the ball, and we can see. I think this has been like a trend, obviously, in modern football, but I think Stuttgart, they have been doing it for a long time. This kind of 4-2-2-2, 4-2-3-1. No, they alternate a bit between this, but yeah, we can see more of two winger profiles to attack the space in behind, as we spoke. For example, Führich or Mittelstadt or Leveling, and then two players like Narti or Undav coming more dropping deep, no, to create this space, more like Bayern München or teams like many teams that they have been doing this, or Brighton, the Chervis Brighton, no, this 4-2-2. We can see here. Yeah, the 4+2. And I think they are a great team in terms of playing this kind of third man combination.
Yeah, and I think one thing as you watch this clip right here, so after they play the free man, we'll discuss this as it goes on, but their center backs and fullbacks are very good at carrying the ball at an inside angle to beat their direct opponent or whoever's pressing them. And then they find this inside angle, and then they reestablish their build-up higher up the field. This is, again, Mittelstadt occupying an inside angle with Führich a bit wider and running past the ball. These are all concepts that we'll talk about. I thought this was a great clip to illustrate just their general intentions with the ball. You have here Karazor on the ball, who's drifting in wider areas. You have these kind of wide triangles. From here, again, that left side dominance, looking to get into a position to cross the ball, and if not, they recycle. This is just a general overview of Stuttgart in one clip, in my opinion, on their attacking side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, I want to highlight this also. Later, we will talk about what you say about the fullbacks and center backs carrying the ball inside. But I wanted to highlight how well the timing in third man situation. I have been watching them many times, these kind of build-ups already from previous seasons, and they do it great. To, as you say, Nubel, the goalkeeper, has this composure, no, to understand when to play this kind of balls. Angelo Stiller, Karazor, they are great at this kind of combinations, and we can see here how Leverkusen striker steps to press the goalkeeper and leaves the center back free, and how Stiller comes and they play this third man. And as you say, Hendricks, who is actually left-footed, so he will, in this game they were playing with two left-footed center backs, then carries the ball forward and save Mittelstadt into the half space and Führich wide. That we say the relationship is great with Mittelstadt coming inside, Führich wide, and alternating this. So let's watch the second clip. Again, Roma, actually. They lost that game 2-0 in Europa League. In this case, Hendricks was playing as a left back in this game. So yeah, Tommy, you wanted to highlight this, no? This idea of the fullbacks driving inside. We'll see later also clips from the center back we saw before Hendricks.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting solution against man-to-man presses, where I think a lot of man-to-man situations, you're trying to keep your direct opponent between you and the goal. And then once that's beat, then there's possibilities that open up for Stuttgart. And I think as they've come across these type of opponents a lot, as he cuts inside, then you have midfielders that are comfortable playing little diagonal passes around the corner. And then you have the two 9s and 10s as link players. that can act as bouncers out to wide areas, or they're able to turn and drive and find the other side. So I think it's a very interesting solution, especially against man-to-man, that involves a little bit of risk, but it seems like something they have trained and they've asked their defenders to do, knowing that the reward for it is greater than the risk.
Yeah, before going in more into fullbacks, want to highlight again this kind of relation between Führich and I think in this case it's Mittelstadt also.
Yes.
So as I say, Mittelstadt always like overlapping, underlapping, and Führich likes to cut inside with his right foot. And then this kind of ball, for Undav that we spoke, that the two, the striker and the number 10, they like to come to drop deep, while the wingers, they are the ones giving the width and attacking the space in behind. And here we can see the fullbacks, also coming into these half spaces to open, to isolate wingers, basically.
This situation right here, where Führich has the ball and then plays inside to the nines, reminds me a lot of what Bayern is capable of doing, with Leimer running inside and then isolating typically Elise. But now Stuttgart's able to do it with Llewellyn. And I think it has a lot of similarities between Bayern as well.
We can see here, this movement from the fullback into the half space, and then opening this line of pass with Bagnoman. And looking for this kind of crossing situation, more in the left side than in the right, or in this case is in the right. I think Bagnoman, in this case, Bagnoman is an interesting player in the way that he can play right fullback, he can play right winger, he can play right wing back, he can also press. He's a physical profile, he can attack the box, but maybe he has less 1v1 ability if we compare it to players like Leveling.
Yes.
Again, this example of center backs and fullbacks carrying on an inside angle to beat their press, at the direct opponent.
So again, center back carries in, and I think one thing we'll discuss as these clips go on, they're very comfortable resetting play to Nubel and then starting the whole process over again, whether it's finding the free man, whether it's the center back again carrying inside, whether he finds a direct pass. They're very comfortable in this situation.
And here we can see the 4-2-3-1 kind of, with Undav coming also already dropping deep. But this clip I think is very interesting.
Yes, this is one of my favorite clips I saw, because these counter movements between the sixes to open up space in the higher line, and then Nubel's ability to find this low pass into someone on the front line with support underneath, and then they're running forward. And again, they run towards the goal when they're carrying the ball. It's very much when they're in space or they're trying to beat their opponent, they're carrying direct towards the goal. I think it's just a general intention that they're very good at.
We can see here different things. As you say, Nubel joining already, like moving a bit higher up. Then we can see Karasor making this movement inside. I think this is a typical movement nowadays with the man-oriented marking system. So it creates, it drags the opponent out of his zone, and this creates a straight passing line with the last line. We can see here Karasor moving and opening this passing line. Nobel he waits until the last second, to make this pass. That a lot of space to receive the ball and to make this 1-2. To then, as you say, drive inside. The third clip. Here you wanted to highlight, Tommy, a bit the Angelo Stiller positioning. We say it in the offensive intentions, that he tends to drop and be more this kind of deep lying midfielder who helps to build up play, with Karasor then occupying this midfield zone. But when Angelo Stiller is a bit more higher, then Karasor has also becomes at times more as an advanced midfielder with freedom to attack the box and that. And then you can see in this clip, we can see Angelo Stiller dropping deep, getting the ball from the actually left-footed player, Angelo Stiller, if someone doesn't know it.
Yeah, and I think when we talk about their left side dynamics, this is something that plays into that. He's got a great range of pass, Obviously, he's left-footed, like we just discussed, and he can receive this ball. The center back can step up. Middlestat can move inside or overlap Furic, with Furic coming inside. So his ability to drop in allows them to create a 3v2 on this side. And so I think it's something that they use because of his passing ability, but then also the effects that it has higher up the field. And again, as we will see in a couple other clips, I think their balance, whether it's a center back or fullback, when they're driving, and then they can play inside on a diagonal angle, and to use Undav or maybe Narte or another 10 as that like link player that switches the point of attack. You can kind of see the difference in their intentions on left side versus right side. So when this gets played inside, yes, you could argue maybe foul, whatever, but how direct and vertical their right side is compared to the left side. So Llewellyn receives, Wagnermann over the top. Like you said, he's very fast, and he draws a penalty from this.
Yeah, many interesting things here. First, Angelo Stiller, as we say, dropping between center backs. This kind of ball, great pass. Angelo Stiller, if you look at him, he's this kind of player that plays simple all the time, but takes good decisions. And he's also one of the players, I was checking some stats, that plays more passes into the last third for Stuttgart. I see also a lot of progressive passes. So he's intelligent. He knows where to position himself. He has good technique. He helps a lot in terms of build-up. And then we can see this diagonal ball inside. And as we said, we can see here already Leveling and Führich, the two wingers, no, giving more giving the width and also the depth to attack the space in behind. And then we can see here Dennis Undav. I'm not sure who is the other player, but coming. I think it's maybe Narte. No, in this case it's Karazor.
I think it's Karazor.
Yeah, because they alternated with Narte. But yeah, anyway, it probably should be usually Narte. But then, as we say, these two players dropping deep, and then the fullbacks arriving late from behind. We can see here Mittelstadt already making a run inside, and as we say, Wagnermann already overlapping in the right side with Leveling receiving, accelerating play, and Wagnermann, as we say, a more physical profile, high energy to run up and down, and here already. Maybe when he arrives into this zone, maybe he's not the most technical for this kind of 1v1 situations, but here he can get a cross or get a penalty like in this situation. If we take a look to the fourth clip.
So this is one, it's more of a direct play. And then as the ball gets settled, like we talked about, Karazor and Stiller very good in small spaces and playing off of each other. So see as it comes in here, and then Karazor receives the ball free, turns, and plays forward. And then you've got Mittelstadt running on an inside angle, Führich carrying the ball. Again, their left side dynamics that we've discussed, looking for a cross. So again,
basically this, no, the short relations between Karazor and Stiller. We have seen Stiller also dropping, no, but this 4+2, I have seen Sebastian Hoeneß using it a lot, no, with the two midfielders, very combining between them, one touch, no, and then these kind of situations where one of the players from the front line drops. He's, as we say, a lot of freedom inside, no, between Karazor, between Narte, between Dennis Undav, with the wingers like Führich and Leveling more to attack the space in behind, and then the late arrivals from the fullbacks, no. So here, in this clip, you wanted to talk about the tilting in wide areas, no? Especially in the left side.
Yeah, I found this pretty common, and the last clip kind of alluded to it. But now, when they get into these wide areas, typically you'll have Mittelstadt start from a deeper position, run into the half space beyond the ball, and then in this case, it's Llewellyn on the left hand side, but it can be Furic, it can be Mittelstadt, it can be Hendricks, any of these players where the center mid support underneath, the fullback supports underneath, then players run beyond the ball, and it opens up this player to cut inside or beat their player 1v1 and put in a cross. And like we talked about, very good at attacking the ball once in their box, once in the box, and especially with their head as well.
This is leveling, no? In a 1v1 situation?
This is leveling, yeah. And then 4 players arriving in the box across, like we said, in a better area around the 6-yard box, then you might not necessarily think this is a high percentage cross. Some teams look to get into the box to cross, but this plays to their players' strengths as well.
Mm-hmm. As we say, here, I'm not sure who is the one who scores the goal.
I think it's El Canus.
El Canus. Okay, yeah, great. So El Canus in this situation scores, great header, but you also have Denis Undav, who is a striker, and Bagnoman here, who is also, as we say, the physical profile. No, so this kind of crosses from the left side, they are a good weapon for them to score goals. Let's go now to the number 6.
So this is another thing. This is another thing besides maybe cutting inside. So again, you have the 4+2 base, which is, I think, present in every build-up situation that they have. But as the fullback receives again, you'll see it open up with a diagonal pass inside to the 9. So as this plays continue on, this is something I think they've started to do quite well this year, and it's similar to maybe what Voltamade could add for them too, is this is into Undav, and then the Welling spins off in behind, and they're able to beat a typical wide trap with this diagonal entry ball from the fullback.
And this fits into player quality. So Denis Undav is good player to come and drop deep and receive in this kind, to receive under pressure, to link up play. And Leveling is a great player to attack the space in behind. So good connection here. Diagonal ball. And going to space for Leveling, who is a very fast player. We can see it in this clip. And almost a clear chance to score.
Cup of Nations.
So this one is very similar, maybe a couple more passes, but same concept, where they play in, the press is here, and then they use a 9 or 10 or even a winger with a diagonal entry ball to beat this wide press.
Great combination. Say again.
And then one thing I like about here, which is I think very similar to what we just discussed about Bayern, is the 2 wingers are providing the width and the depth, whereas Undav, instead of running in behind, because I feel like there's a big gap that most forwards would look to exploit between these 2 center backs, he looks to receive to feet to then create a 2v1 with the winger. And then the fullback arriving late underneath the ball allows the Welling to cut in. And then I believe this is a goal.
It's a goal, this one? I think we don't have the...
So.
Okay.
We don't have it, but I'm pretty sure it's a goal.
Okay. But as we say, outside from the penalty area, that is something that I think Leveling, also Führich, from these zones, they like to finish off the actions. And I think this run from the fullback, it helps a lot. Actually, this is one of the chapters of my book, Play with Purpose. This situation, the relation between fullback and winger, when the fullback runs, is not many times is not to receive the ball. It's maybe to drag the midfielder out of position to open this space for the winger to cut inside, wrong-footed winger usually, to cut inside and finish off the action or cross. I think the relation, especially as I say, Mittelstadt and Führich, but in this case I think it's Hendricks and Leveling. But anyway, it's a good relationship, and I think Stuttgart produce a lot from this kind of situation.
And I think the best part about that illustrates them in attack right now is if the pause at the end here, if you just continue it to when he's about to shoot, is the two highest players are their fullbacks. The two players in front of the goal are their right and left back. Their 9 and 10 are framing the box, and then their opposite wingers attacking the box. So I think this is pretty common for them, that once they break this press, their fullbacks are joining the attack with aggression. They have these wrong-footed wingers that cut inside, and then the 9 and 10 act as those link players or late arrivers in the box, which I think is something also very common for Bayern in this league as well.
Yeah. So as we say, Bagnoman also arriving to the box, and even here we can see Undav, more of a player who likes to drop deep and receive in this kind of zones, and maybe it fits more his qualities. He might not be a very fast player to attack the space in behind, but yeah, and he's good at this kind of zone, participating in this zone. So let's watch the 7th clip. This is more about fast transition, no? How they attack when they recover the ball, and later we'll talk also about them defensively.
Yeah, I think this is, again, 9 and 10 receiving between lines, and then their wingers, they start in this like outside half space between center back and fullback, but are very direct at trying to receive the ball between the two center backs with a little slip pass. I think this is one of their key qualities when they're looking to attack in transition, is they look very much for that most central, dangerous pass instead of maybe the easier pass that continues the attack in wide areas.
So, yeah, as you say, the 9 or number 10 receive passes between the lines, with winger running in behind and fullbacks supporting the attack on the outside with deep runs. We can see here Denis Undav movement with Bagnoman appearing from deep. Great finish from Undav. It's not easy.
That was Llewellyn. So I think Undav passed this.
Leveling. Yeah.
The one thing I think you'll see from these couple transition clips is the most obvious pass is the one they don't typically play, which I think gives them an element of surprise when they're trying to pull off these central through passes.
Yeah, we can see here Fugrich receiving between the lines. I like this goal because it highlights a bit what kind of player Undav is. You know, he's not the fastest, and you can see it in this clip, but good positioning, use his body, and I don't know how, but he scores. I don't know how he does it, but he scores.
For the goal.
You can see here another example. I think in this one also, recover the ball.
Yep. So again, I think people would assume they play this pass to maybe Llewellyn, who's running in behind, but a nice little slip pass into Undav, who finishes this and is just slightly offsides.
This is Angelo Stiller pass, actually.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. Undav again,
Yes.
You can see how he comes from offside position. He positions himself. Actually, I think it's Wolfsburg, no? I have talked about this many times, but in this situation, this is not about Stuttgart anyway, but in this situation for Wolfsburg, if you use the goalkeeper in a line of 4, teams like Chelsea does and this, I think you can create advantages because you can push players higher up. But the gap, because the goalkeeper cannot defend forward, so the gap between one of the center backs and the other center back is huge. And in this case, I think one of the midfielders needs to balance this space if you want to build up like this. So, and you can see, because if not, if you lose the ball, like in this example, you can see now Denis Undav is totally free. And still now, they haven't recovered this gap. And this was offside?
It's called
or
offsides.
Yeah?
It was called offsides, yeah. I was surprised.
but if it's offside,
very close.
Yeah, very close. But as you can see, Undaf again, good positioning. Good ball from Angelo Stiller. And then again, Undaf, good finish. Like he's obviously he's the one of the top scorers in the league, so there's a reason. But yeah, Undaf is like a special player. Maybe you see him and this player is not that good because he's maybe not that clean technically. Maybe he's not fast. So maybe you think this kind of player is not that good. No, when you see him first time, but yeah, he's an interesting profile. So yeah, let's watch now a bit about how Stuttgart defend. So as we say before, Tommy, very man-oriented press in high zones, but also in middle third. That I was surprised. And certain players, they are assigned roles to follow players into unusual vertical or horizontal lines. And here we can see, I think, a good example in this game. It was Bagnoman following Grimaldo. No, Bagnoman, who was the right fullback. We know Bayer Leverkusen, and Grimaldo has a kind of a free role from a wing back position, playing inside and participating quite much. And in this game, we saw Bagnoman following him around wherever Grimaldo was moving. Bagnoman will follow him.
Yeah, I thought it was, again, like you said, quite interesting that. And this is maybe why I didn't show a lot of high pressing man-to-man clips, because that's what we see all the time. But the interesting thing is that they did this in the middle third and even lower on the field. And I think one of the benefits of it is when the ball does go sideways or backwards, they're very good at moving out of that phase into a higher phase of defending shape. And then again, there's no miscommunication between who's following your runner. And I think Wagnerman is often asked to be this guy who's versatile because of his physical profile too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as I say, I have seen Bagnoman having a lot of different roles in pressing. It's this kind of player that if you want to make a fullback to fullback, to press very high and be aggressive with your winger, maybe pressing the center back, he has done this role. If he has to play more as a wing back, he does it. If he needs to be more of a classical fullback, more defensive fullback, he can do this role.
So again, this is the same concept, just a different game. And in this situation, Mittelstadt is the left midfielder who's asked to take over Roma's kind of front five shape in a 3-2-5. And so I think this changes based on the game and who they're playing, but it allows them to be very aggressive. And as you saw, this clip started in their own defensive third, and they're able to move up the field and press again on the opposite side of the field.
Mm-hmm. I like this kind of clips because I have seen this from Stuttgart quite often also, that look at the Karazor, I think it's Karazor, how he's in front of his direct opponent, but when he sees that the right back needs to step out and the center back needs to move wide, then he starts defending in behind.
Yeah, and I think this is something I'll discuss when we talk about them trapping in wide zones. They're very good at being in kind of the correct space between the direct opponent and the ball, or the direct opponent and the goal. So even though they're very man-oriented in, I think, a lot of phases, they do a good job of, in case that player's beat by their direct opponent, not exposing themselves too much into just an open transitional game as well.
Mm-hmm. I think from the center backs, I think Hendricks or Jelch, they are more comfortable moving to wide zones. So this can maybe explain why we can see Bagnoman more pushing higher to press, and Jelch can handle this 1v1 situation with wingers. Same with in the left side with Angelo Stiller. maybe dropping between center back and full back, leaving Chabot always more in the middle, no, always more protected, no.
Agreed. I think that's very much what they look to do as well. And again, that kind of straight vertical pass in transition. But for me, this is a great clip to show, like, regardless of where they were on the field, it was just very man oriented. Whether they were defending a kind of a throw in around or a wide play outside of their own box, all the way back to their attacking third, very much man oriented across the field.
I think this clip against Leverkusen highlights well, no, what I was saying, no, about how they defend in a lower block.
Yes,
because
agreed.
We can see here, no, the back four with Angelo Stiller between Chabot, the left center. We say he's more of a box defender, no, more a player like who is more comfortable, no, in without moving to wide zones. And in this case, so Angelo Stiller just drops to try to have one player more in the last line and defending a kind of 5-4-1. As we saw before, with the left winger or left midfielder, in this last case was Mittelstadt, right? Or using one of the midfielders, usually Angelo Stiller. I think this is already very common in modern football overall. We have seen already, spoke about this with Porto from Francesco Farioli. Aston Villa is a team that does it, no, alternate between line of 4, line of 5, depending on how many players the opposition use in the last line, and alternate between these 4 and 5 instead of playing already with 3 center backs, no, that other teams might do.
Agreed. I think it's also much easier to get out of that low block shape instead of being stuck in it with, if you did 3 central defenders, it feels very much more natural for them to stay. So one thing I noticed, especially when they played Roma, 2 very much man-oriented teams, is as the ball gets swung, I think a common solution for teams is to drop a central midfielder out of the opposition's block so they can face forward and maybe find those entry passes, create more space in the middle of the field. I thought it was interesting that Stuttgart does, especially Karazor, follow all the way up to the top line, in line with the forwards, but doesn't really kind of extend beyond that. And then you'll see on the backside of this clip, or it might be the next one, on how they trap in wide areas as well, which I think is this one. And so I think this is very much, so if you pause here, so this is something that I like about their man-oriented kind of pressing, trapping in wide areas, is it gives this illusion of having security or a +1 in the back line, but also a central player to protect any kind of vertical or diagonal entry ball into the top line. So around the ball, they're very, very aggressive, obviously man-to-man, almost touch tight in that kind of 5v5 in that wide area. But then on the opposite side, the center mid, wide mid, fullback, and opposite center back tuck in, and are kind of 50-50 between the ball and their direct opponent, because it's very unlikely that the player on the ball is going to be able to hit a diagonal ball or even get to the free players on the opposite side without more than kind of 2 or 3, maybe 4 passes. So it gives them enough time to kind of shift back towards their direct opponent. So I think this is you often hear like this hybrid pressing where it's man-oriented around the ball and then like a +1 security away from the ball. So I think this is a great example of Stuttgart doing this in wide areas where they transition from, in central areas, a very man-oriented block, and once it gets into a wide trap zone, again, very aggressive around the ball, but then has some security with the +1 at the back line, so they don't expose themselves too much.
So basically, the players close to the ball, more closer to the direct opponent, and the players who are usually in the far side, they leave a bit more distance with the direct opponent, closing inside. And here we can see, the benefit of this, how you get a +1, here at the end.
Yes, yeah, and it's also like the guy on the ball doesn't have that easy pass into the feet of the 9, because I think it's Karazor is blocking that entry pass. so he's got to try to clip one in, and it's not as accurate.
Yeah, and this is what you say, that one player moves outside the block when they are switching play. It's very common also in Roma, in Gasperini. He does it a lot to open this direct passing. Obviously, he knows that in Serie A there's a lot of man-oriented pressing, though they had solutions for this. And I didn't watch that game, but yeah, I think probably Roma, if they play against a very man-oriented pressing team, they are used to it, because in Italy it happens a lot.
Yes. Here's just
Similar
another example of it as it.
in the other
Yeah, it's
side,
just
no?
how they do it across the field. So they're really tight around the ball here. They shift in, but now I also want to show, as the ball swung to the other side, how they transition from the right side being very aggressive to then the left side being aggressive and the right side tucking back in. So how this works is maybe how you see a zonal block shift side to side and kind of 3 clear lines. This is how they would do it in a man-oriented system.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go back a couple seconds,
Mm-hmm.
and I just want everyone to focus on kind of the diamond. If you go even a little further when the goalie hasn't. This is perfect. So the 4 players on the right side of the field that are away from the ball, watch their kind of sprint effort and intensity to get back into the middle of the field to release the left side of the field. I think that's very important for how they defend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and related to this, we have the last clip, who is a bit about defensive commitment, no, especially in transitions.
Yeah, and for me, this is perfect to just kind of wrap up. I think these type of intensity clips, especially on the defensive side, for a man-oriented block and just kind of denying transition, which is common in Germany, this type of effort is incredibly important, and I think shows that a team committed to their style, to their manager, and I think just are fun to see as well.
But yeah, I was now watching it more closer. I already watched it before, but now I'm seeing that even you can see already, no, 8 players, probably the ones that they have more, how I say, defensive responsibilities. But
Yes.
but you can see also the 2 strikers, actually Leveling and Undav, how they make this effort fast to stay in front of the Roma player, and then they stop.
Yeah.
But they make this effort to say, okay, probably the coach, you see here, because here they could stop, say, okay, I'm there for transitions, no? But they go back and they try to avoid these passing lines with I think the 2 midfielders of Roma, and leave the 2 center backs free. And here you can see, wow, this is only 10 seconds from this to this. Already the team is in a 4-4-2 in the low block.
Yeah.
Wow, impressive. But yeah, to close, Tommy, wanted to know a bit your opinion about Stuttgart. I think it's an interesting team to watch, like all that we try to analyze here. But yeah, I have been following them for a long time. We were talking off the record that yeah, in terms of offensively, they're a great team. In terms of build-up, in terms of what they try, in terms of also the relations between players. There are also many players that they have been there quite a long time, like Karasor, Stiller, Mittelstadt, Führich, even Dennis Undav, Leveling, also Bagnoman. So they already have like kind of many players that they have been working with Sebastian Hoeneß for a long time. And this helps, obviously. And in terms of defensively, we're talking about that it's quite a very man-oriented team, and then maybe there's room I don't know, for improvement in this kind of situation. They're still conceding quite many goals, and we'll see how they do in Europe, how they do against Celtic. But yeah, what is your opinion about them? And also your opinion about, you already said your opinion about Angelo Stiller, but what about Sebastian Hoeneß? Because actually he has been connected to Manchester United job, he has been connected to Premier League, but at the moment he's not moving from Stuttgart, and he's not moving, which is more surprising, to other clubs in Bundesliga, because we have seen in bigger clubs, I mean Borussia Dortmund and especially Bayern München, because you have coaches like Niko Kovac, that they moved already from lower teams to a big lower teams, if we compare to Borussia Dortmund or Bayern München, and then they move to this kind of club. So, but Sebastian Hoeneß, he might have been linked to other teams in Bundesliga. He has never moved from Stuttgart at the moment after doing very good seasons. So yeah, what's your opinion overall about Stuttgart and about Sebastian Hoeneß?
I think they're a very good example of just modern football, of what that is right now. A coach that has been there at a successful level, modern football. Kind of young players that have been together for 2 or 3 years as the core of their group. Kind of very good at breaking man-to-man blocks with the free player, playing into the last line, runs in behind, players joining from the last line, and then some of the kind of tactical tendencies you've discussed about fullbacks running into the half space, nines kind of playing between lines, wingers stretching into the depth, a double six that's I think quite good on the ball and very balanced. So I think a lot of these tendencies that you're seeing a lot of these top teams do, they're doing. And these specific moves, they have it in their library or in their locker. And then for Sebastian Hoeneß, I think he comes from a great German football family. So maybe why he's been at Stuttgart, I think he values the level of continuity and being able to do good work in a system that allows him to do that with players that he trusts and feels confident in. So I think maybe that's why he's stayed there. And I think maybe similar to Fabregas, it's a team that is maybe just below the typical giants of German football or Italian football, and they're doing well and they're playing good football. And he's allowed to do that work in a situation that isn't maybe like a Xavi Alonso, where there's a ton of pressure and outside noise from Real Madrid. And so I think for him, he's, I think, only 43. So he's still a young coach. He's still someone who I think is going to be one of the top managers at this generation. And so he's someone I admire for the last couple of years, and kind of how he's evolved and approached modern football. And I'm excited to kind of see what this team does and what he does as well in the future.
Mm-hmm. We will be following what Sebastian Hoeneß does and Stuttgart, and I think it's always a fun team to watch. They have been doing great, and they're still doing good this season too. So yeah, we'll see also probably some other players moving into bigger clubs, maybe into Premier League, like as we say, like Angelo Stiller, like Leveling, players like this kind of profile, even the players like Hendricks or like Jelch, the young player from Germany, and yeah, thank you, Tommy, for having you today. We remember to everyone that if they can subscribe to our YouTube channel, if they can give us a like, it helps us to continue growing. And if they want to join our coaching community, we have a lot of individual clips, collective clips, set pieces, ideas about modern trends. We also have games in tactical camp. We also have like a WhatsApp group where we discuss tactics, and we are also uploading team analysis from time to time. Today we did Stuttgart. Soon we will do also Middlesbrough. We will do Bodo Glimt. We are working on that, and we are also doing game analysis in our YouTube channel. And thank you everyone for listening to us. If you want us to do any other team that you think it will be great to analyze, please drop a message in the comments, and we will see if we can analyze this kind of other teams that you suggest. And yeah, thank you so much for listening to us. We hope you enjoy the Stuttgart analysis and hope to see you soon, guys. Thank you, Tommy, and thank you, guys. See you. If you have passion for the game and you like this kind of content, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to our channel. It helps us to keep growing. Thank you.